Well, he's truly one of the greats that has played this game, but as much as the rules have changed throughout the years, and it's a less physical game, I mean, it's still a physical game, and that's the only reason why Rob won't be able to continue to play. And his career cut short because of injury. He came into the league. The reason why he wasn't a first-rounder, because he had a bad back playing for Arizona. That's why he dropped to the Patriots. They were able to take him, but he's a guy that was able to benefit from being with Bill Belichick. And the reason why is because from a standpoint of discipline, taking care of your body, being able to be focused, those were attributes he had as a very young player. Most of the players we've seen that have developed under the Patriots, they're veteran players that take advantage of their system and how they do things. But Gronk, and he's one of the rare dual players that you're going to see. He's like a two-way player in basketball. He will not get enough credit for what type of end-of-the-line blocker he was. He's one of the best that's ever played in the business as far as a blocker. Now, we know as a red zone receiver, one of the best all-time. But I believe his blocking ability with his receiving ability, that's what separates him apart from even some of the good tight ends that we've had play this game. But to me, his career very similar to Kellen Winslow Sr. They played 9 years. His career was cut short because of horrific knee injury that he suffered there playing with the San Diego Chargers at the time. Eric Coryell, one of the great offenses, Dan Fouts as the quarterback. But Gronk's career mirrors his. Played 9 years. Their numbers are very, very similar. Winslow not winning championships, Gronk winning the 3 championships. But I believe he really benefited from not only Bill Belichick, the system, the overall discipline, how he was really into his body, trying to take care of his body, and then, of course, we know Tom Brady. You know, he's one of the best players that Tom Brady has ever played with from an offensive standpoint, and they couldn't run this offense without Gronk.
And on the Brady angle, he was Brady's best player during, statistically, the best stretch of Brady's career. This last decade far surpasses the first decade Brady had in the career, and the one consistent piece of that is Rob Gronkowski from 2010 to now. So who is Rob Gronkowski on a per-game basis? He's the most productive tight end in NFL history. The most yards per game, the most touchdowns per game, the highest yards per catch per game of any tight end ever. He also had the greatest statistical single season any tight end's ever had his second year in the league, when he went 90 catches, 1,300 yards, and a unbelievable 17 touchdowns. He is going to join, I would imagine, Gale Sayers and Jim Brown as the only two players ever inducted into the Hall of Fame at age 35 or younger. And what C mentioned about the end-of-the-line blocking, he did everything well. He could block, he could play, he could receive from the tight end. You could also split him outside, and he could be a matchup problem. If you look at the Patriots' final 2 games of the year, in a year it looked like Gronk was slowing down considerably. He played every single snap in the AFC Championship game in the Super Bowl. In the AFC Championship game on what looked like it was going to be the game-winning drive, he had the biggest catch. It then goes to overtime on 3rd and 15. He has an enormous catch that keeps the Patriots in position to win. And then in the Super Bowl, the 29-yard catch right to the goal line that set up what would be the game-winning touchdown. He was a big-time player that had his biggest moments in the biggest spots. And the only thing that keeps him out of the greatest tight end ever discussion is because he's not going to end up doing it long enough.
Right.
But on a per-game basis, there's nobody you'd rather have.
Wouldn't you consider Rob Gronkowski maybe the anti-Patriot? I mean, yes, he was very disciplined, but he also had a personality that usually doesn't fit into Belichick's system, and he made it work. He harnessed all of that color and spirit and flamboyance, if you will, to make it work within that system. How was he able to do it so successfully, and a guy that Belichick loved to go to?
Well, the number one thing Belichick wants, he wants smart football players. He wants football players that can play a number of different positions. So regardless of what your personality is, what Rob was able to do was show them a skill set with Dante Scarnecchia, their offensive line coach, utilize him. We'll put him in the backfield as a fullback. He can play into the line of scrimmage. We can put him outside. Those are the attributes that are his biggest attributes. Those are bigger than his personality. But Gronkowski, though, he never did anything that was outside of the Patriot way. Now, he might have celebrated just a little bit more than the other guys. Belichick doesn't mind that. When you get your work done, you can celebrate. He don't want you celebrating in the process of doing it. So understanding what the Patriots wanted from him. And one thing that Tom Brady's talked about was Gronk's never had a bad day. When you can show up to Bill Belichick's office with a smile on your face, and we know the number of injuries he had, so it's not as if he's feeling great. He missed a lot of time because of injuries, but that didn't affect him in his ability to be able to work. So he has a childlike enthusiasm, and people think that, man, the Patriots don't want players like that. Yes, they do. Yeah, they do want players, but they want you to be smart. They want you to be versatile. They want you to be available to be able to practice. And they want you to be in the critical situations. Will you make the type of adjustments? And that's what Gronk has done, the things that are bigger than his personality. One thing, too, I think there's a misconception about Gronkowski because how he goes about his business. You can't play football the way he's played football in Belichick's system because we know they've had other players, didn't have the versatility because they weren't smart football players. But when you can play 5 or 6 offensive position, tight end, end of the line, right or left, wide receiver outside, slot, right or left, running back, fullback, coming out of the backfield motion. All those things, Rob Gronkowski, those are the things that really stand out as that's the Patriot way. He's kind of maybe the ultimate Patriot because he can do so many different things.
He can do so many different things. And listen, Rob was smart to recognize I have a brand that can make me money off the field. But that never came onto the field. There was never a moment where he never, in his interviews, when he's making jokes, took shots at the opposition. Never was late for work that we know of because he was out shooting some commercial. I think there were 2 Rob Gronkowskis. The Gronk that the Patriots dealt with, and then the Gronk that he presented to the public in media opportunities as a way to maybe give himself a career after football. I think there was one real negative moment of his career when he dropped that elbow on the kid from Buffalo the season before last. That was, I mean, he's in the league 9 years, in the spotlight for 9 years. I never heard him getting in trouble with the team. He wasn't a guy that opponents would say he was a trash talker on the field. Right. That wasn't who he was. And he did everything well. That's the most impressive part. The only thing he didn't do at an elite level was health. But, I mean, Chris's point, I mentioned he can play inside or outside, tight end or receiver, but he's totally right. He lined him up in the backfield. And when they had he and Aaron Hernandez, the offense Belichick went to, which is 2 tight ends, see what you can do with it. And if you put small people out there, we'll run it down your throat. That changed for a short period of time the way teams would have to attack them. And then last year, when they just said, okay, we're going to be a smash-mouth old-school football team. That doesn't work without Rob Gronkowski being a 9 out of 10 as a catcher and a blocker. He is one of one as far as his skill set in modern NFL history.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.